I heard my best friend's voice, but he was already gone. My name's Adrian. I'm 19 and I live alone in a shitty apartment in a part of town where cops don't show up unless someone's already dead. The walls are yellowed with old cigarette smoke. The pipes rattle when you run the water, and the neighbor upstairs screams at his girlfriend almost every night. It's not much, but it's cheap, and at 19, cheap matters more than safe. I'm not proud of this story. I wish it was fake. I wish I could laugh it off as a nightmare or some drunken hallucination I half remembered wrong. But every detail is burned into me, carved so deep I can't shake it no matter how much I try. This happened last year, on a night that was supposed to be fun. Nothing special, nothing memorable. Just me and my best friend Alex. He'd been my guy since we were kids, loud, fearless, the kind of friend who dared you into trouble and then laughed the hardest when you both got caught. We were drinking buddies, partners in crime, brothers in everything except blood. It started simple. Too simple. I bought 2 bottles of vodka from the corner store, cheap shit with labels written half in Russian, half in lies. The kind of liquor that promises warmth but really just tears your throat apart on the way down. The old guy behind the counter didn't even card me. He just gave me that tired look, like he'd seen 1,000 19-year-olds make the same mistake and knew I was about to join the graveyard shift of regrets. Alex showed up around 8. He always carried this restless energy like he was allergic to silence. He barged in without knocking, tossed his hoodie on the couch, and grinned when he saw the bottles sitting on my table like twin glass grenades. "Jesus, man," he said, "planning to kill us tonight?" "Something like that," I laughed, trying to sound more confident than I felt. I'd never bought 2 before. We put on music, loud, aggressive stuff that made the walls shake, the kind you don't notice until it drills into your skull hours later. The room filled up with noise, with laughter, with the sharp clink of glass against glass. The first shot burned. The second was easier. By the third, my tongue was numb. Alex poured fast and sloppy, splashing vodka on the table on his shirt, grinning like a lunatic every time he missed his mouth. We lost track of time. I couldn't tell you how many shots we actually took, only that each one blurred the edges of the world a little more, until the walls of my shitty apartment seemed to bend and sway, like they were breathing with us. I'd been drunk before, but never like this. This wasn't tipsy, wasn't funny. My skin prickled hot, my chest buzzing with something that felt like static electricity under the flesh. My thoughts drifted in and out, heavy and loose like they were caught in water. I remember laughing too hard, too fast, at nothing, at everything. My voice cracked and echoed in my head in a way that didn't sound like me anymore. Alex was worse. His words bled together in half-coherent sentences, vowels slurred into mush. He'd stand up, try to gesture, and nearly face-plant into the coffee table. Each time he pulled himself up again, smiling like it was all part of some private joke only he understood. At one point, he leaned over, close enough for me to smell the sharp bite of vodka sweat pouring out of his skin, and whispered, "You ever feel like something's watching us?" Then he laughed like it was nothing. Like it was a joke, but I remember that part too clearly. Because for a second, just a second, I felt it too. Sometime after midnight, we decided we needed fresh air. That's what drunk kids do, right? They stumble out into the night, convinced the cold air will fix the poison sloshing around inside them. Alex was the one who suggested it. He stood up, swaying like a broken street sign in the wind, and slurred, "Bro, we gotta breathe. We're like fish in a tank, man." I laughed too hard, clutching my stomach. "Fish in a tank? What the fuck does that even mean?" "It means," he said, wagging a finger at me like he'd just made the most profound point of his life, "we're suffocating. Air, we need air." So, we went. We staggered down the cracked sidewalk, shoulders bumping, trying not to trip over the uneven slabs of concrete that had been warping since before we were born. The streetlights above buzzed and hummed, each one flickering like they were dying out one by one. Every step felt heavier, slower, like the air itself was pressing down on us. The neighborhood was too quiet. I didn't notice it at first, not until we'd walked half a block and I realized, no cars, no people, no faint chatter of TVs from open windows, nothing. Just the shuffle of our sneakers and the occasional bark of some unseen dog far away. It felt wrong. "You ever notice?" Alex muttered, his voice low, conspiratorial. "How empty it gets at night. Like the whole world just folds in on itself." "You're drunk as shit," I said, shoving his shoulder, trying to laugh it off. But I didn't like the way he said it. Too calm. Too serious. A few steps later, he tripped over his own shoelace and went sprawling into the middle of the road. His palm slapped the cracked asphalt, and for a second I thought he'd hurt himself. Then he just started laughing. Not a normal laugh, this wheezing, gasping fit that made it sound like he couldn't breathe. He rolled onto his back, clutching his stomach, tears streaming down his face. "Holy shit, bro!" he choked out between fits of laughter. "The road. The road's hugging me!" "Jesus, get up!" I groaned, reaching down and yanking him up by the hood of his sweatshirt. He stumbled into me, still shaking with laughter. His forehead pressed against my shoulder. We leaned on each other like idiots, half walking, half tripping down the empty street. "You'd let me die out here, wouldn't you?" he said suddenly, his tone shifting, quieter. I frowned. "The fuck are you talking about? If I just laid down, right here, in the middle of the street, and some car came speeding." He trailed off, grinning through the slur. "Would you pull me out, or would you just watch?" I tightened my grip on his hoodie and forced a laugh, though something in his words twisted in my gut. "You're not dying tonight, dumbass. Not on my watch." But as we kept moving, as the silence stretched around us, I realized I wasn't as sure of that as I wanted to be. That's when I saw it. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. Drunk as I was, it would have made sense. Streetlights blurring, shadows shifting, hallucinations aren't exactly uncommon after half a bottle of vodka. But when I blinked, it was still there. At the very end of the street, just past the final working streetlight where the asphalt dissolved into darkness, something stood. It was tall, way taller than a person. Its arms hung low, too low, almost grazing the cracked pavement. The skin, or what I thought was skin, was a sickly gray-white, like old candle wax, slick in places and cracked in others. Under the dim glow, it almost seemed to give off its own faint light, as if it wasn't reflecting the lamp, but radiating something. And its head tilted at this impossible angle, like it was curious about us. Not a playful curiosity. More like how a cat studies a mouse before it pounces. I stopped laughing instantly. My stomach dropped into ice water. "Alex," I whispered, shaking him by the sleeve. "Do you see that?" He squinted into the dark, swaying a little. "The fuck is that?" he said, voice still thick with alcohol. Then he laughed, a short, sharp bark. Some crackhead in a costume? But the thing didn't move like a person. It swayed gently from side to side, its limbs dragging like they were too heavy or too loose. Every movement was a fraction too slow, then too fast, like a film reel skipping frames. And then, slowly, it stepped forward, the sound its foot made on the pavement. I'll never forget it. A wet slap, like raw meat hitting tile. Alex cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, "Hey! Nice costume, freak." His voice echoed down the street, swallowed by the dark. I wanted to run. Every cell in my body screamed at me to run, but my legs felt glued to the concrete. The creature crouched suddenly, folding in on itself like its joints bent the wrong way. Its head twitched in quick, jerking movements left, right, left like a broken camera trying to track us. Then it made a sound. God, the sound. It wasn't a growl or a scream. It was both, like metal grinding against itself, mixed with a dying animal's cry. But threaded through it, faint and wrong, was a human voice. My voice. "Alex," it said. Not exactly. It was warped, wet, as if my voice was bubbling up from underwater. "Do you see that?" It was repeating what I had whispered seconds earlier. Alex's laughter cracked. His face drained. "Shit," he whispered. "It's..." Before he could finish, it did it again. This time Alex's voice, perfectly. "Hey! Nice costume, freak." It barked back at us, exactly as he'd said it, but with something wrong. Slower. Gurgling. Like it was playing us back on a broken tape recorder. The creature began to crawl forward on all fours, limbs bending at angles that made my stomach churn. Its fingers, if they were fingers, spread wide, dragging long, dark streaks across the pavement. Alex grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. "Dude, we need to go. We need to go now." We took a step back. The thing took 2 steps forward. It whispered again. Both of our voices layered over each other, words tripping and stuttering like it was learning how to talk. "Do you see that? Hey, freak. That broke me. Run!" I screamed, finally finding my voice, and we did. I don't remember how long we ran. Time felt broken, stretched thin. The vodka burned in my stomach with every ragged breath, threatening to come back up. My legs screamed, my vision pulsed, but I could still hear Alex beside me wheezing, stumbling, gasping for air. And behind us, those wet, heavy footsteps. Faster, louder, slapping the pavement in a rhythm that grew closer and closer. We turned down a narrow alley, the kind of place that stank like piss and rot, and collapsed against a rusted dumpster. I pressed myself flat, hands trembling, chest heaving. Alex bent over, clutching his side, sweat dripping down his face despite the cold. We both listened. At first, all I could hear was my own heartbeat hammering in my ears. The footsteps had stopped. The street outside was silent. For a second, I dared to hope. Maybe we lost it. Alex looked at me, wide-eyed, lips quivering like he wanted to laugh, but couldn't. He opened his mouth, and that's when it happened. Something reached out from the darkness. A hand, or what looked like one, snapped around his ankle. Long, pale fingers glistening like they'd been dipped in oil. They bent in too many places, knuckles bulging where no knuckles should be. Alex screamed, "No! No, no, no!" I lunged for him, grabbing his hoodie, pulling with everything I had. My arms shook, my lungs burned, but I didn't let go. He kicked, clawed at the concrete, his nails splitting and peeling back, streaks of blood smearing the pavement. "Adrian, help me!" His voice cracked so sharp it split me open inside. "I'm trying!" I shouted, my throat raw. "I'm not letting go!" But the thing was strong. Too strong. Its arms stretched impossibly far, dragging him backward into the shadows like he weighed nothing. I pulled until the fabric tore, until my hands slipped on the blood slicking his skin. Until his nails bent back so far, I could hear the sickening snap of bone, and then he was gone. The alley was silent again. Silent except for me gasping, sobbing, choking on air. I sat there, shaking, staring at the space where Alex had been seconds earlier. The blood on the ground, the torn scraps of fabric still clutched in my fists. I didn't see him again. Not a body, not a shoe, nothing. When I told the cops, they looked at me like I was just another drunk college kid making excuses. Their report said possible runaway. His parents still call sometimes. 15 missed calls in a single night once. His mom's voice breaking as she begged me to tell her what really happened. But what the hell am I supposed to say? That something pulled him into the dark and erased him? That I was too drunk, too weak, too useless to save him? The guilt eats me alive, especially because of what came after. Because when I finally staggered out of that alley, broken and soaked in sweat, I heard something behind me. Footsteps, slow, wet, and then Alex's voice, "Adrian." My blood froze. I turned and there it was. That pale, swaying figure at the mouth of the alley. Its head twitching, jerking side to side like a broken marionette. And from its gaping mouth or whatever slit it had, it spoke again. "Adrian, help me." It was Alex's voice. Perfect. The same crack in his throat, the same panic. Except it wasn't him. I knew it wasn't him, but drunk and terrified, I almost ran back to it. I almost believed. Then it laughed. Alex's laugh, warped and doubled like a recording played too slow. "You didn't help me, Adrian. You let me go!" I bolted. I didn't look back this time, and I swear, even now, even sober, I still hear it sometimes. Outside my window at night, in the quiet when I'm alone, Alex's voice, "Adrian, why didn't you save me? It's been almost a year. I don't drink anymore. I can't. The smell of alcohol makes me sick, makes me gag. Just walking past a bar sends a rush of bile up my throat. People think it's about self-control, about growing up. It's not. It's about survival, but no matter how sober I've been, it hasn't gone away. It started small. Flickers. A shadow too tall to be a person at the end of the block. A pale smudge of something under a flickering streetlight when I come home from my late shift. I'd blink and it would be gone. Sometimes I'd convince myself it was a trick of exhaustion. Sometimes I'd convince myself I was drunk again without realizing it. But it isn't a trick. It's always there. Always in the periphery, like it's waiting for me to forget what I saw. 2 weeks ago, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of footsteps on the street outside my apartment. Slow, deliberate, that wet, meaty slap of flesh on concrete that I know too well. It didn't stop at the street. It came up the stairs. One step at a time, slap, pause, slap. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My phone was in my hand, screen glowing, but my fingers wouldn't dial, because some part of me already knew there was no one to call. It stopped outside my door. For a long time, nothing happened. No knock, no sound. Just a shape under the crack of the door, pale, impossibly long fingers curling in slow, rhythmic motions, like it was drumming out a thought. Then softly, a voice. Adrian. It was Alex's voice. Not broken or panicked this time. Calm, almost sweet. I'm cold, man. Why'd you leave me? I pressed both hands over my mouth to stop from screaming. It chuckled Alex's chuckle, but stretched. Wet. Wrong. Open the door, Adrian. It's just me. I'm still your friend. The fingers slid back. Silence. When I finally found the courage to move, the space under the door was empty. The hallway was quiet, but I know it isn't gone. I've started finding small things out of place in my apartment. My front door unlocked when I'm sure I locked it. Wet, grayish smears on my windowsill, even though I live on the 3rd floor. Last night I woke up and my phone was open to my camera roll, scrolling by itself, showing old photos of Alex and me. Pictures I don't even remember taking. And then, the latest occurrence was yesterday at 4:45 a.m. The sound again, the wet slap of footsteps. But this time it wasn't outside the door, it was inside. I could hear it in the kitchen. Slow, measured, crossing the linoleum toward my bedroom. Slap. Pause. Slap. I didn't check. I didn't move. I lay there frozen, staring at the ceiling. My heart beat loud in my ears, because I know what it came for. It didn't just want Alex. It's been practicing, learning, wearing his voice like a mask. It wants me too, but I am ready to confront it if I have to. Because I don't think it's going to leave empty-handed this time.